So let's start with the first class and let's start with our first question. What is finance? Try answering this question because interestingly, whenever I start a new batch or new class, this is the first question I ask. And the guys whom I'm expecting to answer, the ones who are doing post-graduation in finance or have specialization in finance, those are the ones who are not able to answer this. So please don't be that person. Or even if you are, today should be your last day of being that person. So what is finance? It is very simple, and the interesting part is the most common answer I get is finance is money or finance is credit. Now, money is in the wrong context. Money is always used as a medium to exchange value. When we talk about credit, you're partially correct. I mean, credit is subset of finance, but there are other products in finance as well. So credit as a whole cannot be finance. Here's a simple definition or simple, let's say, way of understanding what is finance. Finance is nothing but study of investments. Now you might think, sir, there are other things to finance other than investments as well. Yes, they are, but they come under one umbrella. The perspective of decision making comes with lens of investor. We'll come to that. We'll definitely dig deeper. But time being, this is one thing you can understand, that what is finance at a macro level, it is nothing but study of investments. Now, to understand further what is finance and why on earth are we even learning finance, let's go back to a very old traditional approach of understanding the whole structure by starting with economics. For those who don't know, finance is not a stream in itself. Finance is a subset of economics. Those who came up with, different theories in finance, different models in finance, all the Nobel laureates, they all got their prizes for Nobel laureate in economics. No one got a separate award called, Nobel laureate in finance. That thing doesn't exist. Okay. Having said that, let's continue now. Economics it was always told to us that there are three things you need to start something called as business. I hope you understand what is business. Okay. Any service or product bought or sold to make profit is business. As simple as that. So within business, we need three streams or three resources to start a business. One is land, second is labor, and third one is capital. I hope this structure kind of rings some bell because ye humne 8th standard, we had learned this in 8th standard. Back then, I know it has been quite some time, but yeah. So when we are using this as resources to build a business, of course, we need to pay back. We need to compensate for using this. For land, a business compensate in terms of rent it pays. For labor, a business compensate in terms of, you guessed it right, wages and salary. If you didn't guess this, not good. Okay. Next is capital. To use capital or to compensate for capital, there is something called as returns. And this returns can be given back in different format. Okay. If you are well versed with share market and all, stock market and all, dividend is one thing, capital appreciation is one thing. Then returns in terms of interest is a way. So we'll definitely get into this. If this sounds Chinese to you right now, that is completely fine. We'll understand that later. But one thing you need to understand is returns is a way of compensating for using capital in your business. And this use of capital is also what we call finance, use of finance in a business. Now, finance majorly plays two roles in the world of business. Okay. One is a supportive role or supportive function. Let's be more technical. And next is finance itself is the main function, main or core function. Okay. Now think of it in this way. Okay. Let's understand this using an example. Think of Tata Motors. The business itself is focused on building cars, innovating new technology for cars, selling cars. So CEO, when he wakes up, he won't be thinking about finance as such. He will be thinking about what next car should I launch? What next technology should I bring into my cars? What will make this market more appealing? But can Tata Motors do this just by focusing on cars? No. To build a new car, they will need R&D team for that matter, research and development. Why will people go and research or develop something? Because they are getting paid through finance. Next thing, when let's say the CEO thinks of entering into a new market. He will go back to a person named as CFO and ask, "Hi, Mr. CFO, can you tell us how much money or how much finance do we need in terms of building a new factory, let's say in West Bengal, Delhi, Mumbai, somewhere?" Then, next thing, if he, let's say, he wants to shut down a plant, will it be beneficial for him, or would it even cost him more to shut down? This kind of analysis needs to be done. So again, he goes back to a person named CFO and says, "Can you help me with this?" So this is example of a product-based business. Car was nothing but a product. Coming next is, let's say, service-based business. Think of, let's say, Zomato for that matter. Let's say Zomato wants to open a new segment called home services. I read somewhere in the news that Zomato is planning to compete with urban company in coming times to give out such services. So the CEO, Dipinder Goyal, when he plans expansion of his business, can he plan it individually without anyone's consideration? No. He will approach a person named CFO and ask that how much money is required to enter this new business segment called home services. Secondly, he needs to hire people for that. How much money the business unit would require. Then he will also set up some, let's say, reserves that if this business fails and he wants to enter into some other business, so he again wants to keep some reserves as well. So from the whole product and service perspective, the core function of the business is always focusing on the product or service they are giving. But CFO or finance vertical in that company plays a very critical role because it is integrated with every single step of the business. The second function, which I mentioned over here, core or main function. I hope most of you who are maybe here watching this good content are also watching a show called Shark Tank. What do the sharks do? They look at an investment, rather they look at a startup for that matter. If they think this is a good investment, what they do? They provide this investment with expectation for some return in future. This function is nothing but startup funding. Further, if the business grows at even larger scale, there are few firms called as private equity. Now, don't focus on the term called private equity. Rather, think of it in this way, that these are the people who have a lot of money. They are ready to invest 50 crore, 100 crore, 200 crore in a business. So these large investors will also focus on just understanding the business and then investing. Next, think of it in this way. The business even grows further. They need a lot of money. And instead of equity, now what is equity? What is debt? We'll discuss that later. But timing, just imagine the business wants a big loan. So they will approach a bank. Let's say in India, SBI is a huge bank. If they want to approach a foreign bank, then they have JP Morgan, they have Morgan Stanley, or even Deutsche Bank, where I used to work. So there are different banks. These also can provide you capital in a way, or loan for that matter. So all these firms, these investors, these banks, these startup funding, venture capitalists, investors basically, for them, when they wake up, they are not concerned about any product or service. They are concerned about how much money do I have, where do I need to invest it, and how much returns I will require, or will I get, rather, I will make out of all the investments. So when, as a person, if you are waking up and thinking about the product or service, we are referring to finance as a support function. But when you are waking up and your whole focus is on the finance you have, or rather all the capital you have in your bank, then you are considering finance as your main function. And then your whole focus is on complete, pure investment analysis. Okay. So these are broadly two aspects, two segments, two world of finances. There is also a third segment, which is like, consultancy, advisory, audit, due diligence, which mainly kind of acts like a bridge between the product and service business. And on the other end, we have investors. But we'll come to that later. But I hope you guys have understood that what is finance, what kind of role finance plays in a business. And the third thing, when someone next asks you what is finance, you should be able to tell the definition that finance is nothing but study of investments. That's the only takeaway I want you to get from the initial few minutes we have spent on this.